It's time for a new project, but this doesn't look right. So let me go ahead and try and fix that. No, that doesn't work anymore. Okay, well, what about like jumping? No, that doesn't seem to work. Oh, all right. Well, give me a second. Okay, I had to leave for a second. Oh, well, it seems to be all in its place now. Okay, so yeah, this is our next project. That is right, folks. I have made a purchase at the end of 2024. Let the winter pass on through, and now that it's starting to warm up and up, it's time to get working on the next project on the channel. So let me give you a rundown of this one. Now, a lot of you guys will know this if you guys seen Cars and Cameras. These are what are known as Manco Dingos, or in this case, technically, a Manco Red Fox LXT. Doing a little bit of research online, this somewhat equates to their late 80s, 90s Manco 285 Dingos that were later taken over when Dingos took the name over the Red Fox and before American Sportworks took over Manco's rights. But this guy popped up on the local Facebook marketplace and I seized the opportunity to buy it. And as it is, you know, it's actually ready to go, but I want to give this kart some quality of life upgrades. Now, ever seen and watching Cars and Cameras, I've always wanted to have a dingo, but the tough part of it was around here in Oregon, they're hard to come by. When one pops up, they are several hours away, but they're the right price, or they're closer and they want an arm and a leg for, or the kart's not as complete as this one. I got pretty lucky on this one, if I will say so myself. So let me give you a bit of a tour. So up the front here, we've got the complete roll cage front to back. Front and rear tires. There is a tire leak, I believe, on this one, if not that one in the back. All the hardware has been replaced because that was the old hardware, rusty and crusty, and I was lucky to even get that out. First immediate impressions after getting back to this kart, I noticed there is a little bit of an owie right here, so we need to potentially work on getting this all straightened out and all cleaned up. We have our front gas and our brake here. We have the factory linkage to a mechanical disc brake, but I will talk more on that, on what I want to upgrade with. This seat actually is not factory, because normally you have like a padded seat on the floor and then a little bolt-on padded seat in the back. But the previous owner managed to adapt this Razor racing seat in the place of the Dingo. We have our hard link steering. Kill switch is just down there. It's backwards. But this is the main reason I bought this kart. You happen to look in the back, you see the shade of the familiar blue. We got ourselves a Tillitson. One of the things that I really wanted for the drift trike, but soon we will get there. But this is the Tillitson 212, and on top of the stage 1 air filter, jet upgrade, and header, I got a jackpot for this one, and this was totally unexpected. This one came not only with a CVT driver, but it came with the Juggernaut driver as well. And when I test drove this thing, which I hope to get better footage of this later, this thing is a bat out of hell when it gets going. I have to pull apart and see what kind of sprocket that we're dealing with here, but I'm pretty sure we're doing with 40 chain setup here. I'm going to presume 12 tooth on the driven pulley sprocket here in the back, though I'm not 100% sure. I've just got this kart in here finally over the winter, so we're still kind of diving in about it here. Got the rear segment of the roll cage here, and again, there's our muffler set up here. It's kind of a weld-on RLV style open header. Also, to prove another thing, the kart actually runs too. So if I come over here and then turn this on, choke is already set. A little cold. She's cold. Ooh, and she backfiring. There she goes. She's very healthy. And it just goes. So yeah, we have a healthy Tillitson here, very low mileage on it, fresh oil change, fresh gasket, and also bonus, not bonus points. The governor has been removed on this one here. but it's a Tillitson. Word of mouth says 10,000 RPM flywheel with castings inside that should be able to handle it. So it's rated to go under that load for short periods of time. Not to say that I'm going to do that just yet, but someday soon we're going to be doing that. I'm excited. Now, you might be looking and thinking that, well, Caden, it being a dingo, how do you fit in this thing? I will admit it is quite a tight squeeze. But yeah, just to prove the point. Here's me somewhere in the shop, 6'2.5". And as far as me sitting in here, this took a minute to get in. Oh, but I fit in it. Yeah, I fit in it rather almost comfortably, and it is a rigid body, so there's a lot we're gonna have to worry about here. But I can exert it on the throttle, almost on the brake, the lack of brake, I should say. But yeah, it's a dream machine for sure, and there's a little bit of work to be done. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, I don't recall if this is factory or not, but it does come with a seatbelt. Now, as far as getting out, it is doable. Just gotta do it in reverse. But as feeble as I still am in my late 20s, I can get in and out of the dingo. Okay, now that you had the directory out of the way, so let's go ahead and talk about the plans and the objections for this cart. First and foremost, one is already semi-ticked off the list, was to replace all the rusted and crusted hardware all over the roll cage. So that's done and dusted. The biggest goals I want on this one is braking and handling, and also quality of life to power, and some cosmetics, of course. So, starting out front here, the steering, I hate this, but that's just me having limited exposure to yard carts. This steering feels really hard while driving, but even though I'm off to a rolling start, it does get better, but I want to make this easier to turn. So for that, in my box of goodies, which a lot of these I will get to in a minute, I have a rack and pinion steering kit bought off of Amazon. Links in the description if you want know what we're going to use. But essentially, we got our little rack and pinion box here that I am going to have to bolt and adapt somehow to somewhere along the cart, out of the way of all the other goodies. Main idea is to hopefully change the steering geometry and to also raise our steering wheel up a little bit higher, because you probably saw how my knees were in the cart. But my hope, give or take, is maybe something like that, if it'll work or let me. Different linkages. I might spin the spindles around, switch them around, but that's just a thought. Or we could put it where it originally was, but we got to watch out for our pedals here. But even though, granted, those can be re-drilled and repositioned to our liking, it's just something we got to think about. So steering box will go maybe somewhere there to start. We have our connecting tie rods that I may have to shave down just because of the length of it, so I can get my proper alignment. And then, of course, as you saw, I've got a nice big old steering wheel here. It's going to be replaced and sit somewhere up there instead of being down there. More like a cross cart feel, something that will hopefully adapt to get easier in and out. Now, the only downside with the kit that I purchased is it did not come with a sleeve that I needed that will help put the bearings in this steering shaft in place. So given I had the dimensions of the bearings and the distance I had to cross, I machined this piece out of DOM tubing, gave it a nice emery finish on the outside, and I made it, for the moment, a slip-in fit, because the final plan is to get this cart powder coated, and that should hopefully, in theory, get my few thousandths back to press these bearings in place. And worst comes to worst, they're held in by snap rings, and I'll 3D print a washer to account for the slack here. So that is going to sit somewhere properly along the steering column there, depending on what the steering geometry looks like. On that note, the brakes on the common Manco Dingo suck. And 9 out of 10 times the people that have a Dingo would have upgraded their brakes to a hydraulic, which I will be doing the same, because it's tedious as it is. Might be a downfall for the trike later, that these pads have to get adjusted constantly. And not to mention this rotor too. Rotor may or may not get replaced. Also, off topic side note, This axle, I believe, is a 1-inch GoPowerSports axle, because normally these Dingos have hexagonal shafts, depending on which model of Dingo or what year of Dingo you have. I was lucky enough to have a round stock shaft, which is going to help very well in my favor. And I've got these drop pillow blocks here to drop the axle once everything is kind of unbolted and out of the way. So I'm going to try to use that factory brake caliper, or I can make my own brake caliper if I wanted to, or buy one. It doesn't really matter. And that will eventually get coupled up to this hydraulic brake caliper kit, which somehow I'm going to need to find a way to remove this caliper from this bracket, and then either make my own bracket or adapt this bracket to the frame. And then I'm gonna have to use maybe the factory linkage and some pivoting to pump on this self-enclosed hydraulic boot assembly, because you push in and it takes care of the hydraulic pressure for you. And if I can point it up, that's how we can fill the reservoir, if I'm not mistaken, and bleed the brakes if need be. But being it's a sealed set, we're gonna try not to do that. Another off-topic thing I want to try as well. Hope we got more pads in there too. I didn't use this on Operation Fat Tire, and I've got a key switch here because sadly this one is not electric start Tillitson, which I kind of wish it was, but that's just me. That's my wants, my wishes. I might opt for a key switch rather than the little push button switch, just because personal preference. I might get a little, well, actually, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to fit in there somehow. Somewhere, it would be nice to have like a belt-driven alternator on this motor or on the axle somehow, so I can run my lights without like a battery. But I can always charge a battery if need be. It is what it is. We'll adapt and overcome. So that's the function. Now let's talk about form, I guess. And speaking of lights, Brohawk or Xfire MH, if you're watching this, thank you for these 7-inch LED lights that I bought for this cart. I'm not sure where I want to put them just yet. I have two likely candidates. The self-explanatory light bar 1, 2 over the roof there would be perfect. The other thought, if I had another set, like a full light bar, would be down here and here. They both look pretty badass, don't get me wrong. Up high you get pretty good visibility. Down low makes it look sleek and slim, which is kind of the goal of this cart. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, one way or another. And then last but not least, I got another street bike muffler. This is a big chungus. And actually, for giggles and shits, I want to go off topic for a second, just compare it to the street bike muffler on Bandit here, which video link in the description if you want to go see how this one sounds. But that's a big boy. It'd be funny enough if I can even adapt this thing to here, but that's just a digressing thought. I like the look of this one. This one doesn't have much of a muffler in there. I mean, if I may try to do a test, I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but so that's just nothing muffled, and then so I mean, there's a little bit of muffled to that one. I digress from that embarrassing thought though, but the point of it is I like the aesthetic look of this, what, pentagonal, hexagonal? I guess it's technically a hexagon. It's got, what, 6 sides on there, but it looks like a pentagon. Either way, I like how it looks, so that's why I chose it. And there's a couple running candidates of how I want to mount this. If I can try to keep the low profile, we can go similar to what we did with the drift trike and do it like this. But what I was thinking was like a diesel smokestack. It's going to be interesting to try to portray this. But now that I've got the roll cage on here, that would look pretty cool too. Just a straight up shot exhaust in there. It'd be a straight shot up and out of here. It would be really nice if I can reuse this pipe. If somehow, miraculously, I'm going to have to cut and re-weld to get the position that I want. We're going to have to clean the piss out of that rust if we won't even try and salvage it. But somewhere is what I would like to see there at some point. It keeps the footprint, the wheelbase reduced. It doesn't have any problems sticking out like that, because that doesn't look as pleasing to the eye. Down low, but also, well, into the boom tube ground wouldn't make any sense. But there's a lot of options. But I'm leaning more over towards the smokestack up high. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it is definitely going to be a fun one this summer. I'm hoping to get this out to a couple of events this year. More to stay tuned on that one here, but I've got my work cut out for me regardless. So definitely hit that thumbs up if you guys are enjoying, if you guys are excited for the Dingo. And I need a name for this guy too. I haven't figured out what I want to name it just yet, but we'll be keeping tabs on that one.